Gender, race, or identity should not be an issue when venture capitalists fund a startup. However, the data's out there, folks. About 98% of VC funds go to white male founded companies. So this industry has a lot of work to do to even the playing field, and our guest is doing her part. She's a female funder, and she's passionate about and committed to investing in female founders of early stage B2B SaaS enterprises. Oh, love that. Stay tuned for another delicious conversation on the Startup Life live show. Let's glow and let's dance. Hello and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I have a pretty good idea of what you all are crawling through every single day. You know, this startup journey, it really is hashtag the struggle is real. And it's a roller coaster ride. You could be having a great morning, feeling like a winner, and then all hell can break loose, and then you feel like the worst person on the planet, and then the next minute you have a win and you're back up again. That is part of the journey, which is why it's so important to you to be constantly building your resilience muscles, right? Being able to go with the flow of it all. And that's why I am also so grateful that you carved out time to tune in to the Startup Life live show and up your founder game, because as you do better, that's right, your startup will do better. And there's no class to take, no course, no YouTube channel that's going to tell you how to be a founder until you're actually sitting in the seat, making things happen and seeing how your startup is behaving, right? It's kind of like with kids. Sometimes each kid comes with totally different instructions for how to raise them. So to all my live viewers who are swinging by to say hi, I'm waving madly, I'm blowing you kisses, and replay viewers, you are the best. Thank you for coming by and grabbing the nuggets for your startup. And podcast listeners, big love hugs for you too, for tuning in wherever you are. If you are watching live or via video, please like the video, whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, please hop on over and subscribe to the channel. And to receive an alert whenever I post a new show and to do a deep dive on the guests that I'm having on the show, please join the Startup Life Live meetup group. That way you can have a good understanding and set your calendar for the show. We're here most Tuesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. ET. I have a few Andelicious announcements for everyone today because, you know, we all need to find out what's going on. Where can we get some great advice? And one of them is, of course, and I always lead off with this, Arlen's Academy. Arlen Hamilton always has everything you need. She just uploaded this week some more great information that you need to know about launching a successful business all in one place. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then I really want to encourage everybody to hop on over to Scroobius and check out this amazing platform, because they help you with funding, getting prepared for funding. They are very inexpensive, but use my Ande15 to get 15% off. They also help provide peer support. I mean, the best thing you can do as a founder is to hang out with other founders. And they also help you prepare a video pitch deck, because look, you need to be aligned with your investors, right? And the best way to let them know who you be is for you to have a video pitch. And Scroobius is great. So I hope you can hop on over to Scroobius. Links are in the show notes. And hey, Jason Calacanis has a great event coming up on October 25th to the 26th called Meet Our Fund. It's a virtual summit. And I think he's having like 11,000 founders and top VCs. So you can learn all about raising capital and how to grow your startup. So I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today, because she's a remarkable woman doing remarkable things. It's the also phenomenal Pascale Diaine. And she's a seasoned entrepreneur and a partner at a phenomenal venture firm called Storm Ventures, where her investment thesis and their investment thesis focuses on sales and marketing automation AI and machine learning, Internet of Things, retail tech, AR, computer vision, and robotics applied to the enterprise space. We're going to have a delicious conversation, as we always do when we have a female funder on the show. Let me bring into the room the one and only Pascale Diaine. Yay!
Hi.
So
Thanks for
happy.
having me.
Oh, it's so happy to have you here, Pascale. Tell everybody where you are sitting right now. What part of the world are you hanging around in?
I am actually in Las Vegas.
Yay!
After 20 years in the Bay Area, I'm part of the people who left during COVID.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh my gosh, you must have so much cash flow left over, right? At the end of the day, moving from the Bay Area, just saying, yeah,
And
here in Boston.
I can all gamble it. So that's great.
Oh my gosh. So someone is saying that while I love listening to Ande, her intro keeps playing 4 times so far. When will the noon show start? Oh my gosh. So Ruth, is everything working okay out there, or is my opening show still playing? So Ruth, everybody, is my wonderful community manager. And so I know, Ruth, you'll let me know if everything's working okay. Technology can happen. You know that, Pascale, even under the best of circumstances. And thank you, LinkedIn user, for letting me know. Oh, well, we're going to keep on moving because replays matter as well. And so, Pascale, I'm curious because you have a great background. And one of the things that you did in your career before you started your career was to get educated in the computer science area, engineering. So, we know here in the US that there are women in computer science, women in computer engineering. We still need to see those numbers up there. What was it that led you 20 plus years ago to dive into this area for your education?
Yeah, that's a great question. And like you, I would love to see more of these talented women join these fields. So I grew up in France and I studied in France. And I'm going to have a bit of a contrarian opinion here. I never really had computer science as a passion. I had no idea what I was going to do. All I knew is that I was really good in math and physics, and any hard science was just coming easier to me than other fields. And whoever I would ask, what should I do? Because I was big in sports, and I was a gymnast, and then I played volleyball, and I was so passionate about it, but I was not good enough. And I knew that I didn't really have a future there, really. And because I was so ambitious and driven, and I really wanted to change the world, but I had no role model. I really had no idea like what it meant. And so everybody around me just told me repetitively, just keep going in math and physics and science as far as you can, and then doors will open. And
I love that advice. Come on, women don't get that advice enough, right, Pascale?
Yeah, I think it's just because it's so blurry. It's like, what does it mean? I wanted to be a businesswoman, but I didn't even know what it meant. I would see this woman in this movie with a suit and a briefcase ordering people around, and I like that. But what do you do to get there? Like engineering sounds like you'd have like a white coat in the lab. Like it's just there's no role model for women today, and it's such a bummer, right?
And so true.
Yeah. So I just kept going in math and physics, like everybody told me,
And you got your degree, and then
So actually, what happened is like in France, you do this like preparatory classes when you're really good, and it could be in math or in business. And I was told like if you're not sure, do math because then you can go back to business. But when you're in business, you can't really go back to engineering. So I kept going and going. So, and I ended up having to pick between mechanical, system mechanics, biology, chemical, or computer science. And I had heard of that thing happening in Silicon Valley, like this crazy thing happening and people raising money and all that. So I said, it looks like computer science would be closer to get me there. Yeah. So it's not by passion of I love coding or I love developing stuff. It's just I was like, I need the credibility to get there and see what's out there.
And I love
honestly, that's what got me there. So no passion for developing and coding, but passion to do something bigger and knowing where to go to have as many doors to open as possible.
That is such excellent advice to anybody who's listening, that, we need to be thinking about the bigger picture. What can you be planting today that's going to get you to be able to do more in life? And, that's what you did. You increased your options. And I really love that you had that understanding that engineering, you could, you got your degree in engineering, you can always brush up on your business, but you can't brush up on engineering.
It's just really hard.
It's really hard.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. So your goal was to get to this valley called Silicon Valley, which I love. So how did you end up going there? And you had this wonderful stint with this sort of like an education platform called Orange Fab. I'm so curious about this when I was reading about your bio. Can you talk a little bit about that and tell us how you got to California from France?
Yes. So I got the opportunity to join with an internship to go for an internship in Silicon Valley, working for the innovation center of a large French telco called Orange. So if you go to Europe and you use a cell phone, you're probably going to use Orange. It's kind of the AT&T of Europe. And they have an innovation center in Silicon Valley. It was an R&D center, research and development. And they were looking for analyst interns to join the community. It was a group of like 50, 60 people. And I joined as an analyst. And I was there for a 9 months internship, and I loved it. I was not the best at it. I was not like
I love that honesty. I was not the best, but I loved it. Come on, that is so great.
That's why I just want so many women to know it's okay if you're not the best. Just work at it. Patience, resilience. You will get there. Because trust me, when I was that little intern popping up in an R&D center, surrounded by PhD guys who knew everything about coding, Wi-Fi, telco, networks, and it was like, like I was a generalist in, I had a specialty in computer science, but I was not very sharp at it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, all right, I'll just work my way up. I'll just,
This is what you're saying, Pascale, is so important. I earned my MBA at the only all-women's MBA program at Simmons College here in Boston. And that was one of the things they said to us as a class, right? Every class, they would talk about how women would want to be an expert at everything, the best at everything, or they would just be quietly over to the side, whereas men would look and say, well, who is the worst at this? I just need to be better than they are.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, so it's great that you bring that up and talk about that, because women can self-sabotage this way, right?
100%. I mean, yeah, I'm surprised I stick around and, kept my head up when I felt such an imposter and so overwhelmed by the level of knowledge everybody had around me.
Right.
And so a couple of things that really changed my trajectory is I decided, I thought to myself, like, what am I good at? And how can I thrive? How can I differentiate, right? And I heard a couple of things that my mentors at the time, like the head of my internship and my first boss, told me. And that made a profound impact on me. And I want all the women to really hear that. They said, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And more importantly, your network is your net worth. And I took that at heart.
Yes.
Because it's okay to know a bunch of stuff, but what's even more important is to know who to ask, right? To get an answer to what you need, right? So it's really like your network, your circle of influence. And what I was good at was building rapport with people. What could have been felt as a weakness, woman in tech, I have an accent, I don't look like an engineer, made me memorable. So any networking event I would go to and start talking to people, they may not remember what I said, but they remembered me and remembered that I worked for this French company. And then they would just want to help me or invite me or connect with me. And that made all the difference. Like,
excellent.
A massive network. And I really took that network is your net worth at heart.
Well,
and that's where I am today.
Excellent. We've got to stitch that on a pillow moment, right, folks? Your network is your net worth. And, how you networked was so important. And again, my darling, wonderful women, we tend to network with a lot of constraints, right? Instead of, just saying, I need to just talk. I need to just be out, instead of like, well, would I be able to help this person? Don't look at it through that lens. Just look at it as your network is your net worth, and you're building up your network to reach more people and to create more of a difference and get your work out there. I want to just take a quick moment and say hello to some folks who are in the comment section, especially. And LinkedIn is having a little challenge today, folks. So LinkedIn user, I don't know what your first name is, but she says, or he says, hello, excited for this conversation. I was raised to go into math, science, and research, and lucky to have a non-male role models. I'm co-founder and CEO of Modal that's MODALITY, folks who are listening. My technical co-founder is a woman, and the URL is Find Modality. And may I just say, this is what we're talking about. Startup Life Live Show. Share your business name, one-liner. I'd like to know a little bit more about what Modality does and your URL, because folks, thousands of people watch the replay and listen to the podcast. So this is a great way to amplify your startup. We're all going to go check that out now. And whoever that is, if you could just share your name so we can then connect with you on LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't provide that. So this is wonderful. You came to this new territory. You did what everybody has to do when they're creating, building their MVP, right? Minimum viable product, is they have to figure out what's the differentiator. How am I going to be unique? How am I going to stand out among all the other folks here? You did a great job at that, Pascale. And then what happened with Orange Fab? Yeah. I mean, I'm just so fascinated about this organization.
Absolutely. So Orange, so I was working for the Innovation Center of Orange in Silicon Valley. So I was still connected to a very large corporation in the US, right? And I was just basically developing that network of influence. And at some point, somebody paid attention and noticed. And they said, look, I went to an event and somebody asked me if I knew you. And that was my big boss. And I said, yeah, I've been networking a lot, talking about Orange, And then they said, well, maybe we should find a better, instead of you being an analyst, why don't you become kind of the liaison between Silicon Valley and Orange? And I just started kind of climbing that ladder of being like the evangelist for Orange, right? The technical evangelist for Orange. And then I started developing that network of influence within executive of Orange in France and entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, and kind of connecting people and making sure that when an exec would come to Silicon Valley, I would introduce him or her to the right people within Silicon Valley, influential people, executive VCs, entrepreneurs. So I had all these layers of a network that led me to, in 2013. So I had, again, when I talk about resilience and patience, I mean it. Right. It took me almost 10 years working for the innovation center of a corporation, right, to get my break, to get my moment of fame, is to create an entity within a large corporation, like make a difference for a large corporation. Yeah. So I was like an internal entrepreneur within a large corporation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, here's what's exciting about this, because this is where the engineering and math pays off. Some of the best biz dev folks out there are ones with that ability to have the vision, and see what's on the horizon, but also be able to talk about the engineering component, right? That ability to understand and speak the language of the tech industry, and which is all engineering and math. So you had that all wrapped up in a beautiful bow. This is so great. I just want to say thank you, Laura Vitale, for letting us know who you are. For Modality. Good to see you. Yay. And we're excited about that. And then we have another person here, Pascale Diaine. My family is from Latvia. My grandfather was an entrepreneur there, and he passed that spirit to me. Our femtech startup has a female co-founder. And, I don't know if this is a B2B SaaS company, folks, but this person is doing a pitch, which we love. Would you invest in a startup medical device company that is developing a cure for 1 billion incontinent women? So, this is, if so, it's Shapiro at Flowell.com. There you go. Good to know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to know more, but yeah. We just invested in a company in Lithuania. So we're like agnostic in terms of geography. So
There we go.
Yeah.
And then we have Angela Sanchez. You are always working it with Merge Tech. And what's great, about Merge Tech, Pascale, is Angela is a Latina, and she is in the construction industry. And she realized that they were always looking to diversify by hiring folks. And I know she'll give me a little quick update on that, but it's, the ability to make it easy for the big construction, the folks who are building the skyscrapers and the bridges and the super malls, to find the diverse subcontractors. And it's a wonderful, wonderful tech company. I know Angela put some goodies in there. And then one of my favorites, you and I were talking about Hopin. Well, this is Mixtros. And what Mixtros does is that they create an opportunity, if you have an event, for people to connect, to have true engagement, and do it under the umbrella of what you want the experience to be for them. And so it's kind of like Hopin in the sense that they create a room for everybody to get into and have a great conversation, but it's also providing the data that you need, the event holder, to make it all happen. And so wonderful company, Mixtros, putting it all out there. And then Angela, thank you, everybody. You know how much I love this mobile application SaaS platform connecting prime contractors with minority-owned businesses in the construction industry. So that's Merge Tech, everybody. And this is us. We love you, startups, and we love you, femtech startups as well. It's so important, everything that you're doing and everything you're taking, and to make it happen. And Pascale, you and I were talking, it's not always as easy to find the B2B SaaS founders that are female-led. So I love that you've come on the show and given us an opportunity to increase and open doors and have conversations with some of these B2B SaaS female-led companies. But let's talk about this wonderful transition that you had when you were able to build your entrepreneur experience within the assets and resources of a company. So you were getting paid, but you were being, as we say here in Boston, wicked smart to get out there and create all these relationships. You were being recognized by senior management. You had this internal innovation center. What was the next step for you that you said it was like your big break that, everybody, it's the 10-year overnight success, right? For the break.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically we were innovation center means we had to create things that would benefit the membership, right? Back in Europe. And we were seeing like the explosion of Y Combinator and 500 startups, 2013, right? So it's kind of the beginning. But we see like, we kept thinking, what can a corporation do about that? What could we have our own accelerator? And that's how we started thinking of what could be appealing for a corporate accelerator for entrepreneurs. So we completely mapped what was happening with 500 and Y Combinator. So the 3 months of, a program, a bunch of mentors that can help startups, understand better what to do next in their product. We have a demo day. So at the end of the program, getting access to an audience of people that could really make a difference for the startup. As well as what we added was a trip to France to meet with this key executive within Orange, to see if there's a potential of partnership between that startup from Silicon Valley and that large company in Europe. And
that's huge, Pascale. So often, a startup can't even begin to be breaking down any of those doors. There's no bridge to some large corporation like that. What a gift.
Yeah.
How did that go? Tell us more about how that worked for some of the startups.
So what went very well is that we got a lot of amazing startup supply. And in our first couple batches, we had like some companies that are still around doing extremely well. One of them is a company called Talkdesk. It's a call center in the cloud. Instead of your agent in the same place, they can work from home and take calls for your business completely remotely with access to a bunch of tools. And Talkdesk was in our first batch, and Talkdesk went on to raise money with Storm Ventures, and today is a $10 billion company. And so, it's amazing. And so, and other of my companies raised with Storm Ventures, which kind of led us to have discussions and that I can talk about that later, like how I joined Storm Ventures. But to go back to Orange Fab, which was the accelerator, we found out that it was so hard for a startup to engage with a corporation.
Right.
So challenging, and it could also be toxic,
Yeah.
And it's nobody's fault. Nobody's wants that, but it's hard for a corporation that used to get free stuff, not asking for free stuff from a startup. But when you ask for free stuff from a startup, you can potentially, be lethal for that startup.
And not only that, a lot of these startups are founded by people who may not have worked in that level of corporate culture, so they don't understand the language.
Yes.
You have to understand the landscape you're walking into. And so you're helping them understand the culture of the large corporation, the language, and you're helping the large corporation understand what we would call supplier diversity mentality, which is that when you are talking to folks who are just starting out, you're going to have expectations that are completely different than if Microsoft showed up and said, let's, or Dell Computer showed up and said, let's outfit all your laptops.
Absolutely. Translating and helping startup to say no to the wrong project that I knew had no future, and saying yes to project that really had a line of sight to something real. And that was hard for startup to say no, but I would tell them, just trust me. This is not going anywhere, but this, you should go. You should do it, right?
Oh my God, what a gift, Pascale.
Yeah, it was non-trivial.
No, but seriously, but then again, it was 10 years of experience of understanding, not only just as being internal in a large corporate environment, but also really understanding and having watched things fail, that people were just barking up the wrong tree, so to speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The other great thing was that the CEO of Orange, like the CEO of the full corporation, came to the first demo day and loved it. Loved this young, entrepreneur from Stanford and changing the world and wanting to change the world with Orange. So he decided to launch Orange Fab as the corporate innovation face, and he deployed this program everywhere in the world where Orange had a footprint, which was an amazing recognition, and I think a great opportunity for startups to engage in a healthy way with Orange.
Oh, and I just want to give kudos to the CEO and to you for making sure the CEO showed up for demo day, because this is what happens, folks. When you are really into that big enterprise stage, you have so many systems and procedures in place that innovation gets lost. It's just a side effect of when you have to have a smooth running machine. And so by having an internal innovation center, an incubator, it keeps them enlivened, right? It keeps folks within the large corporation enlivened, right?
Absolutely.
And gives them good ideas, and they go, oh, I never thought of that. So I just love that something fierce. And so when did the transition come for you to say, okay, this has been wonderful, but now I'm ready to, I've helped companies partner with Fortune 500 companies, and I've helped startups, and you love to mentor, Pascale. I can see that your eyes light up, and trust me, I know it's what you said. Oh, I love that. How did you end up joining Storm Ventures? How did you meet everybody there? Why did you feel that was the VC firm? Because let's face it, VCs are littered everywhere in Silicon Valley.
Absolutely. So what happened is the key partners, two key partners at Storm were mentors. Like I met them at events, again, networking. I like them and I like their energy. When I met a lot of VC and I knew a lot of VC, but these specific partners, I thought that's something different. They were humble. They were very attentive to the startup pitching them at happy hours. They didn't brush it off. They were listening, engaged. And I really liked that. Yeah. And then I asked this individual, so one of them to speak at some of my events, because I had corporation come over and learn about Silicon Valley and look at the startup. So I was organizing a lot of events, and I loved their energy and presentation, and I was a big fan. And so when they approached me in 2017, so again, 3 or 4 years after I started the accelerator, again, talking about resilience and patience, right?
Right.
I was kind of on my way out. I was I had done it. I felt like I had made a difference in a corporation, which is so rare. And I was so grateful for that, but I was ready for something else. And at the same time, 3 VCs approached me, which is insane, like planet alignment, or I don't know how you call it. But yeah,
You were just like all of a sudden a neon light. Come talk to me. I'm ready to move on.
I don't know how they felt it, I guess. But I think also the success of the startup that went through the accelerator was also a way to put me on the map. But yeah, so I got approached by 3 VCs, but Storm came to me and said, "Look, we want you to write checks," which to me was like not in my skill set. Like I knew the corporate world. Yeah, I had a computer science degree. Yes, I knew startups, but I didn't know the world of VC, like
Sure.
due diligence, financial aspects, cap table, all that was very opaque to me. So I wasn't quite sure. And it's so funny. The first time Ryan at Storm Ventures approached me and he asked me if I wanted to work for them, I was so surprised. And I was like, why me? Like, I don't understand. Like, you sure I can do it? And something he told me, I will always remember. He said, Pascale, if I had asked a man, he would have never said that. Why do you disqualify yourself? Like, I think you can do it. Just say yes.
Tina Fey say yes and you'll figure it out later quote, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but that's so good to remember, everyone. And what I love too is that, of course, already you have a head for numbers. So learning valuation, cap tables, all of those things, you were going to pick up very quickly. And because you had been exposed to so much in the accelerator and with the cohorts, you had a good understanding of founder market fit, product market fit, those kind of conversations. What I love is that because of those years of networking and getting to know the area, you also got to know VCs and you got to know like, you're going to stay over there in my life, which ones you wanted to create boundaries with, or you knew you would never work for. But because of your networking and all, you were able to discern which company was going to be a good fit for you, because you're right, you didn't know anything about investing.
Yeah, I didn't. And then actually the other offers I got or discussion I had was about me joining as an operating partner, which is very different.
A what partner?
Operating, like sorry.
Operator VCs. We love operator VCs. They're our favorite. Versus the someone who gets the fancy degree at the fancy college and has never run a business or has never talked to a startup founder. I'm biased, just saying.
So yeah, what they call operating partner is basically somebody who's going to help the portfolio do better without really investing. And because I had that relationship with a lot of corporations, they were thinking of me just helping the portfolio, which usually means you're not really going to cross over to the investment team writing checks.
Yeah,
that's also why I was very flattered that Storm would think of me for writing checks. And what they told me is like, we know you don't know the ropes of VCs, but you have deal flow, you have access to great startups, and you have the culture fit, because we check with the startups you work with. We like the culture you have. We will teach you everything else because it's teachable. You cannot teach deal flow. You cannot teach personality or culture. No. You can teach somebody about financials and diligence and customer calls and so on.
Oh my gosh, I love this venture firm already for seeing that. And I really love them for saying, you can come in and write checks. And Angela, I agree. It's amazing how us women have the imposter syndrome so high. It's so true. We're like, really? You think I can? Yeah. Okay, great. Said no man ever.
And again, it was a man saying that to me, not a woman, which
I know.
I want to say there's a lot of allies. There are a lot of allies out there for women, not just women. Sometime in my career, some women made sure I did not make it. So
yes. Yes. And I'm just going to do a little sidebar on that. Women were assets. We were chattel for millennium, And so we had learned it's in our DNA to compete against each other for the coveted position of, being taken care of and our children being taken care of. Yes, that's no longer the case, but it still can be ingrained and indoctrinated in us. And that's why we love our men, our great men who show up, put a spotlight on us and say, hey, come on. And then to say, we want you to write a check. Most VCs have to be founded by a female in order to have that capability. That's huge, Pascale. Yep. I'm just gonna have to light a candle for Storm Ventures because that's so good. So how was that transition? Because I've talked with, plenty of VCs and I know that sometimes when they write that first check, they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Oh boy, that was a big learning curve. And did they stick to their words? I say, we'll teach you. And they did teach me. And it was like my first 6 months, I was thinking under information and concept. And I felt like I did my MBA in 6 months, right? I felt like it was a crash course in VC. And they just, not only was it joining the VC world, but joining the SaaS world that comes with so many acronyms and metrics to track and understand. So it was very overwhelming. And the first 6 months, I was just thinking to myself, what did I do? Oh my God, like what I'm not gonna make it. But I made it, and they did help me and give me the spotlight as much as they could and nurture everything. And like my first investment, they said like, look, you got to take the board seat. Like it never happens. Like usually your first investment, like, you don't know what you're doing, move away, we'll take the board seat, write a check, They're like, look, if you don't want the board seat, we're not making the investment. Which is like, what? And they're like, we'll coach you. And you've shadowed us on board meetings, so you know what's up. We'll coach you.
Oh my gosh. I want everybody's name. I really just want to go. I'm going to want to fly to wherever they are and shake their hand and hug them in real life.
I got lucky. Yes. No, it's Storm is an amazing firm for that. And we follow through and we do nurture and develop talents. And it's amazing. Yeah.
It really is. This is what we're talking about, VCs and the landscape. I can't wait to have Allison Byers tune in. She's the founder of Scroobius. She's going to love hearing everything that you've said so far, because this is how we will get more female founders funded, is by bringing on not a token operator VC, but someone who also can have the check writing capability. And listeners and viewers, the reality in the venture capital world is that a wonderful partner like Pascale can bring in some incredible deal flow. But at the end of the day, a lot of men tend to get together in a room and say, are we doing this deal or not? And what do we need to know about it? And then they are the ones who write the check, so that they not only turn to you and said, you have to write that check, but then they said, well, we're not going to do the deal unless you're on that board. Why? Because they know, Pascale, that your information, that everything that you've learned over the years is going to add so much value to their deal, right? To the deal, and make sure that that startup gets what they need.
And it's learning by doing. They knew that it was not going to be trivial, but it was going to be a way for me to really get there and be more comfortable at my next board meeting. So that was a fantastic. And I wasn't on my own. The first 6 months, that one of the partner came with me on these boards. And the transition was just smooth after that.
Oh my gosh, my heart is so singing with joy. Yeah, folks, I have been in the VC world since 1990. Yeah, I'm old. And so I got to tell you, very rarely do I see this level of support for female partners. I love this something fierce. We mentioned it briefly, but this LinkedIn person is asking, what is Storm's investment thesis? If you could share that would be great.
Absolutely. So we only invest in B2B enterprise software. I would say 80% of everything we do is B2B SaaS. So we don't cure cancer. We don't send people to the moon. B2B SaaS, so optimization of workflow of existing of industries in general. And so we usually invest at product market fit stage. So we want to build a conviction that there is a repeatable sales process. We focus and we specialize in scaling sales and marketing. But we want to believe that your sales process, your sales playbook is repeatable. So we look for the same use case across the customer base. So we can start seeing like a sales playbook. And if we feel like there's a sales playbook, we have the conviction that the business can scale with more cash. So we're kind of looking for that. So usually it's like late seed, Series A. And when the revenue is approaching $1 million in ARR, and when CEO cannot sell himself or herself anymore and needs a sales team. And that transition is very tricky. And we help with that transition.
I love that. And it is very tricky, folks. A lot of times you've been spinning a lot of those plates in the air, and now your business gets traction. And by the way, it's always great to go get that money when you have traction, because your business is more valuable, right? You're going to get a better valuation. That's why.
Yeah, as a person, as a CEO, you don't scale, so you can't sell anymore. And a sales rep is not going to sell the way you sell. And you're going to hire a sales rep and say, why can't you sell the way I sell? But because I'm not you. Like
Right.
the founder has a magic touch when he or she sells. And you need to equip your sales rep with a sales playbook to make him or her successful. So there's like some work to be done for that transition.
Oh my gosh. Hold on, everybody. I'm having a moment, and it's definitely. This is, this is where the rubber hits the road. That was an Ande Licious moment, listeners. When the founder really has to hold the vision and be the person working, the bigger picture and getting that right team in. And what I love, Pascale, about you and Storm is that you're there to help them, right? To say, okay, is that your advice? You're able to come in and help them make that big transition?
Yeah, exactly. So we need to build conviction that the company is in a good place and at the right stage to hit that inflection point and scale the business. Yeah. Once you build that conviction, then we jump in, we invest, and then we work hard with the CEO or the co-founders to get them on that trajectory and build that sales engine or refine that sales engine to make it as efficient as possible. Every dollar spent in sales and marketing needs to become a dollar in new annual recurring revenue every quarter. And that's the true north we focus on and work together to get there.
I love that. That is so important. And folks, this is why it can be very valuable to get funded by a wicked smart VC firm like Storm Ventures, because they're bringing in more than just money. They really are helping you step even deeper into your founderhood and be a better owner of your business. I love that. And so now, where is the deal flow going for Storm Ventures? How long has Storm Ventures been around, Pascale?
I think it's 23 years. So
Oh,
and we just raised a new fund. We had a good timing there. So dry powder, we're ready to go.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so, you've given us a great idea of your thesis, the type of businesses that you're looking for, and how do you find the deals? How do you go about, finding the right founders for it? I mean, I'm sure plenty of people pitch to you, but is there a way that you can go out and find folks as well?
Yeah. So, we work with a lot of seed funds because seed is a stage before us. So we talk to a lot of seed funds manager to kind of get a sense of which companies are aligned with our thesis. I go to a lot of demo days, accelerators. Usually it's a little early for us, but like the ones I see potential in, I just build relationship with them, and over time we track them to see if they get to the point where we can invest. And something, one of the reasons why I'm here is like, I really want to invest in more women, right? Yeah. I really want to see these women like just build businesses in B2B SaaS. There's not enough of them, but I try to find them in some organizations where women are being coached or encouraged to go and raise money. And, All Raise is one of the resources we use.
Great.
We just go to like minority led demo days or seed. More and more seed funds are devoted to minorities.
Yeah. Absolutely. And a seed fund can have a great relationship with someone like you and Storm Ventures, so that that they've gotten the company off to a good start, and they're saying, they're ready to go and go up like this. They're going to need you, or they're going to need that level of funding. And it really behooves the seed fund to bring someone like you on board as well. And speaking of female founders and funding female founders, you've had to face some bias, right? Or, you've been networking and building that resilience up, but I'm sure, what has the unconscious bias that you've witnessed outside of Storm Ventures?
For
being a female VC?
Yeah, I think it got better with time as I got more sure of myself. Yeah. But some entrepreneurs that at first, very early in my career, would not even make eye contact with me. Like they would dismiss me in the room. Like the girls over there has no idea. Like, our makeup looks too good to know what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, the judgments are there, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I try to not take it personally and just, and if you ask the right question, a couple very good questions on their business, then you get their attention. Yeah. So it's more like you got to prove yourself a little more to be taken seriously.
And I think you've given a lot of women hope by just role modeling and representing what your experience with Storm Ventures has been. So we can, hold in our hearts that there are male VCs out there that are going to see women as equal and give them equal responsibility and authority. Then that is the only thing that will change this game, because it's a meritocracy. As and not a meritocracy, who, the new CEO of All Rays, the one and only Mandela, S.H. Dixon, she's so phenomenal, has always said. Angela's got a great comment here. I am not yet at the stage we need to be for Storm Ventures, but would love to keep in touch if possible.
Yes.
And then she says, talk about being dismissed, be in the construction industry.
Oh my God. I can only imagine. Oh my God, I can. My contractor doesn't talk to me the same way he talks to my husband. It pisses me off.
Absolutely. It's enough to drive you crazy. And I'm, sometimes I just say, honey, you're going to have to talk to them because they don't want to hear from me. And I need to get something done, and I'll use any tool and leverage any tool. And you're my tool right now. So go make it happen. And we have another LinkedIn user. I'm sorry, sometimes LinkedIn doesn't give me your name, so we'd love to know more about you. Is a weather DAAS. What's a D in front? A device as a service? I don't know what the D stands for. API via persistent weather balloons that can deliver 88% more readings at 1/5 the cost of the. Wow, it may fit. Stay in touch. Yeah. Absolutely. Pascale's right there on LinkedIn. You can connect with her. You can find Pascale on, at Storm Ventures and Twitter and all the great places. I just have a few more questions here. One is, what advice do you have for female founders when they're raising capital? Because we know the obstacles are real out there and the numbers have not moved off, 2 to 3% for a decade or two. What advice would you give them? You're such a good mentor.
So I've been coaching a lot of women and really help them with their deck and everything. I think one of the big things I see a lot in women is this sense of not being sure of what you're talking about, like being hesitant and being more assertive in everything they talk about. And to be assertive, you need to know your business extremely well, including your metrics. And too many times I see women kind of outsourcing the financials to somebody else and trying to get help there. Even if you get help there, you need to be on top of your metrics, because that's what gets VCs to get conviction and believe in you, is when you know extremely well the data associated to your business, being your revenue, your gross margin, your churn, your net retention, all of these kind of like weird terms that you don't want to deal with. You got to know them, you got to understand them, and you need to have an answer like that during the pitch, because that's really impressive. And I feel like when you're a woman, because there's this bias, you need to be even better at it. And that impresses, most of the time, that's what impresses VCs the most, is your reactivity, understanding you're on top of your metrics. And that makes VCs feel really good.
Oh, brilliant advice. There's the snippet, folks, that I'll be pulling out from this episode. It's so important. And just a little sidebar, everybody. If you're wondering how to calculate that Ltv Cac ratio, because you will be asked about that, that's the long-term value of your customers and your customer acquisition costs. And this is your marketing ROI number. Please go check out my video, my Andelicious advice on how to calculate it, because I make it lots of fun and make it really easy.
Right. Yeah. No, and also sales efficiency. Maybe you should do one.
Okay, well, I'll do one on sales efficiency.
Because lifetime value sometimes is unclear when you're very early in the company. So
of course,
yes, yeah. So that's a good one, and it's a good point of reference. But sales efficiency really gets VC also excited.
So I don't know if you know the woman Abby Wambach. She's was the top soccer player. She's the top soccer scorer, men, women combined worldwide, and she gave an address to a commencement address, and she turned it into a book called The Wolf Pack. And what you have just said about being assertive is so important. She talks about how, in her case, she had a mentor that showed him how to ask for the ball. Okay, being down by the net and saying to the goalie, "Give me the ball." And so I think that's what you're saying too, is like, okay, the money right here, show that you are confident, that you deserve the money, that you know the numbers, because you do. No one knows your business better than you. But don't pretend. Like, this is what I see too many times with women, and you probably do too, Pascale. Numbers, they don't have a head for numbers. That's BS. And I'm calling it right now, because I've seen you at whether it's the grocery store saying, oh my gosh, that's 25% off, I'm getting more of that. Or you're looking at an outfit or some Stuart Weitzman shoes and like, what? Yeah, you can calculate that discount in a heartbeat. You can do math. You can do numbers. Absolutely. Right?
Yeah. And I'm happy to coach and help women who are not sure, and hire the right financial person, even part-time, like hire these people and ask them to coach you and help you understand everything in the model.
Absolutely. And folks, Victoria Yampolsky from the Startup Station, she helps you with that. And our good friends over here at the Capital Network in Boston, go check them out. They help people around the world. It's the Capital Network, and they help folks with crunching all those numbers and understanding valuation. There's so many services out there that will help you do that. And guess what? DAAS is... no kidding, data as a service. I'm sorry that I just could not figure that out.
I haven't heard too much of that. Yeah,
I know. And hi, Diane, a little. And so from Anumaya Aerospace, okay, you are rocking it. I love seeing that, Diana. And I think you and I connected recently, and I'm just so excited to see you in the aerospace, and making it happen there. That's wonderful. Okay, so that tremendous advice. So as you have been in this seat for, 5 years now as a VC, what does success look like for you? What's really important for you and where you're going in the world of venture capital?
Yeah, I mean, like any VC, like the goal for me is to invest in a company that is under $1 million in revenue and becomes a company that is worth, 10 billion and reaches 200, 500 million in revenue. So that's what the goal is for any VCs. Now, how you get there is another story. But I'm hoping I can do that with a female team, right? Like I can get that journey done on the road with a woman who started a B2B SaaS business.
Right.
I talk to a lot of them. They're usually too early, or not exactly in the investment thesis. But I really want to do that. And I'm European, so I'm looking in Europe as well. France, Germany, Lithuania. We just did a deal there. So yeah, it's
wonderful. Oh yeah, please. There's so much innovation happening in Europe and in Africa as well, and in our Latinx countries. And you've done a great job showing how people have added wind to your sails and acknowledging them for that. Because folks, we don't get there by ourselves, do we, Pascale?
Absolutely not.
No, people open doors for us. So as a founder and now a funder, how has this journey served you? I mean, you have gone from, being, you weren't, it wasn't your intention, but you ended up being a star within this large corporation. You really added value to the corporation, which had to feel so amazing. But then you took on more of a role of an entrepreneur as you worked with your cohort and the accelerator. And now as a VC, how has this lived experience served you? And how has this enhanced your life, both professionally and personally?
Yeah, I think the first thing, and I wanted to resonate with the audience, is like when I arrived there 20 years ago with my suitcase, being an intern, feeling completely out of place, like I didn't belong and I would never be able to make a mark in that company. I wish somebody would have told me anything is possible. Anything is possible. Just work your craft, be patient, resilience, just keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. Inhale, keep walking, just keep going.
Oh my gosh.
That's one I want everybody to remember.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and go ahead. You had something else?
No, I developed an immense sense of gratitude and very high sense of respect for any entrepreneurs out there. Like it's hard. It's so hard. Just the fact to start a company, your odds are not that good. 95% of companies fail. So just immense respect for entrepreneurs and deep level of gratitude that I can work with them on a daily basis.
Right. And what a mentor you are. I mean, clearly, and especially creating that bridge to the large corporations. That is such a huge benefit because it benefits both sides tremendously. I mean, those large corporations need you startups. They do. They need your nimbleness, your resiliency, your innovation. They need all of that as much as you need them to buy your services and bring you on board, because they still have to delight their customers, and innovation is usually not happening there. And part of their marketing needs to have more innovation. Oh my gosh, I have loved this conversation. Something fierce with you, Pascale. You just embody and you represent what we all hope to have as an experience with a VC. Someone who's really going to partner with the founder for that successful outcome. And especially what you just said at the end about the odds. Founders, I want you to remember this. And I know, Pascale, you feel strongly as well. You always win when you launch a business, no matter what happens. You're going to take that skill set and launch another, because you're going to just say, I love solving problems and I love this journey. Or you're going to say, that's not a fit for me. And you're going to go back to working for someone, but you're going to bring such a great skill set to them. Right, Pascale?
Yeah, it has happened multiple times that we founded a business, didn't work out, we lost our money. And when the entrepreneur got back at it, we invested again because we know he learned from his mistakes the first time. We might have lost 2 or 3 million with him, but we believe that this next 3 or 4 million, we make it big. So absolutely, we see the entrepreneur grow in their failures, and that's what matters.
Okay, folks, take that in. We see the entrepreneurs grow in their failures. I mean, we just had the big example of that with Adam from WeWork, who fails and walks away with $2 billion and then goes and gets funded bajillion dollars. But remember, that's for another conversation. But anyway, thank you so much. You have provided so much wisdom and inspiration to our founders who are tuning in from around the world and will be listening to this for years to come. Thank you, Pascale, so much for joining me. And please give everybody at Storm Ventures a big Andelicious hello, because I am in awe and wonder of them.
I will. I will love it. Thank you so much for having me. That was a very great discussion.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm going to pop into the green room and wrap up here with everybody and let them know who's coming on next. Oh my gosh. Wasn't that wonderful representation from Pascale today? We learned so much and got to really grow from it all, I believe. Yay. Angela, I agree. So good. Let me share with you who's coming on next on the show. 2 phenomenal humans are joining us on Tuesday, September 27th at 12 p.m. We're chatting from the United Kingdom with the dynamic duo Joseph William and Kaylin Mendoza. And they're co-founders of an AI-driven platform called Clue. And it's a skills-first job marketplace and the first safeguarded and psychologically safe hiring tool for our neurodiverse and vulnerable job seekers. And this innovative hiring process gives everyone a better opportunity to demonstrate their skills regardless of where they learned them and in a safe and accessible environment. Folks, we all deserve to have fulfillment in our work, and corporations need to do a better job at lowering these filters, dissolving these filters that keep them from hiring people who are diverse, and especially neurodiverse, but also disabled. Okay. Disabled equals innovation. I cannot say that enough. Disabled people solve problems like nobody else does because they're up against some real constraints. So I hope you can tune in. And how do you know whenever I launch a new show? You're a member of the Startup Life Live meetup group. So be sure to click the links in the bio or scan this QR code and become a member and get the alerts whenever I post a new show. I am so grateful that you tuned in and carved out the time and upped your founder game, because boy, did we get a good boost today from our guest, Pascale Diaine. She's just amazing. Storm Ventures. We're going to have all the links in the show notes for you. Until next time, keep going and keep glowing. Blowing you kisses. Mwah and mwah from Boston. Cheers, everyone.